Have you guys noticed in the comics when Captain America wants to wear his shield like a backpack, he puts his arms through the straps? Yeah, that doesn't work in real life. Ask me how I know. The filmmakers must have realized that too, because by the time we got to the Winter Soldier, they worked into the design of Captain America's costume this really cool leather shoulder harness that I love the look of. Makes Cap look like an old-timey detective. And fortunately, they carried that through every version of his costume all the way up until Endgame. Now, in the MCU, it's canon that vibranium is a ferromagnetic material. And it's not explicitly said, but it's implied that the thing on the back of the harness that I call the coupler or the buckle is a magnet, or it's at least magnetic. So whenever Steve wants to, he can just snap the shield to his back, which I think looks a lot cooler than having him try to wrestle with the straps like a Ghostbuster.
Oh, I always hated this part of the business.
I don't know exactly how they achieved this on set, but I did find some behind-the-scenes footage where they have constructed something that looks like a version of the shield that has like a backpack thing on it, which must have been much more comfortable for Chris Evans to wear for hours while they're shooting. Maybe there was a magnet involved somewhere on set, but whatever they did, you mix a little bit of costume and prop trickery with some editing, and voila, MCU Captain America backpack. Looks really cool. However, when it comes to cosplaying as Cap, we don't have the benefit of switching out shield versions in real life. How do people get this MCU functionality in person? Because I'll tell you, it really does help a lot to be able to free up your hands to pay for things, hug a fan, take a break from holding the shield, even if it's lightweight. So what do people do? Hold on, let me get my shield. You can find plenty of tutorials online of people mounting a magnet somewhere, either up here or down here. And you often see it's like a little round pop magnet. And what they do is they put one here with some sort of adhesive, epoxy, whatever, and then they put another one, a corresponding one, on the back of the harness buckle, somewhere hidden. And then they can do that functionality. They stab it to their back. Works great. Lots of people do it. It's not my cup of tea, and I'll tell you why. As I've said in videos in the past, my goal is to present as if I am the real Captain America, as if he walked right off the screen for the sake of the fans. So I want to give them that experience as close as I can. I mean, I am no Chris Evans. We do what we can. The shield gets a lot of attention, so if there's a big magnet sitting there, it kind of ruins the experience. So that's not for me. The other problem is if you use the buckle as an anchor, gravity's going to do what gravity does, and it's going to pull the shield down if it has any weight to it at all. But what that's going to do is the shield will, instead of being nice up high on your back, it's going to be somewhere in the middle of your back. And in doing that, it'll cause these buckles that are supposed to be facing forward will end up pointing right at the ceiling. You see that a lot. If you try that with one of my shields that I make, you put a magnet somewhere on here, and then you put it on your harness and you snap it to the harness. When you go to take it off, that'll be the last time that you do that, because as sure as you're born, you are going to rip a chunk of the resin off with it. There has to be a better way, and it turns out there is a better way. I can't take credit for this idea. All the credit goes to Captain America enthusiast Huw Jones, who I'm just going to let him explain it to you.
I'm just thought I'd do a little video just trying to explain the harness solution that I came up with for hidden magnets to go along with our Captain America costumes. First things first, I use very large magnets for doing this. I don't use the circular pop magnets that everyone seems to use. I've talked to a lot of guys actually in the magnet industry, and they sort of say the issue with the pop magnets is that they are rated for very, very high pull, but actually that is central onto the magnet for literally connecting onto a metallic structure like a piece of steel to hold the magnet in place. If you're trying to put a pop magnet to a pop magnet, once they get slightly off square, they fall off. Now the issue is when you've got a shield that is beautifully accurate. This is my Endgame beastie that Casey did for me. On the back of it, I wanted to be able to have this look as you see it on the movie. So what I wanted to do is I didn't want anybody to be looking at this shield and wondering what the devil's going on. So what I did is I thought to myself, these leather straps here, these are good places where you can potentially hide something. So on this one, as you can see sitting there, there is one of these enormous N42 magnets. And this is araldited, which is 2-part epoxy resin. I think you guys in America you like using a stuff called JB Weld. That is bonded on underneath these leather straps, and then the straps are going over. So, shield has big magnet. And what I do is then counter these things called posture braces. That's what this is. What I did with this, again, using araldite, 2-part epoxy resin, I have then welded one of those magnets to the back there. Now the advantage of this is, that when I put this on, this goes tight on there. Now the magnet itself sits right up there. This sits underneath your costume. So you have the leather from the shield, you have the costume, and then you have the magnet. And what you get is that simple ability that you've then got a shield mounted high on your back, and it's solid. It's not moving anywhere. That's where we got to. That's the idea, that's the solution we came to, and I think it actually works really, really well.
There's a little bit more to it than that. I'm going to put a link to the full video in the description. You should watch it. It's fascinating. But I swear by this method. I have done it to 3 shields now. The great thing about it is people don't see the magnet. Did you see the magnet when I was showing you the back of the shield? I mean, yeah, once I point out where it is and you know to look for it, but it really doesn't draw attention. Because it doesn't draw attention, people don't expect you to be able to do it. And there is a bit of, when you finally do snap it on for the first time in front of fans, there is a bit of a wow factor. Because, again, it just adds another layer to the authenticity of the experience. Another benefit to it is there's not a loud announcing thunderclap of metal on metal or metal on magnet or magnet on magnet or anything like that. It's a nice authoritative thud. So next, we're going to move into what kind of magnets to use if you want to do this. In Hugh's video, now Hugh is British, so the materials he lists I can't get as easily here in America, but that's no big deal because I can get counterparts easy enough. He uses weights in kilograms. Again, no big deal. When you do the conversion, his shield weighs something like 8.8 pounds. My shield is somewhere in the neighborhood of 9.5-ish pounds. He uses magnets that are, when you do the conversion, about 70-pound pull force. Magnets are fascinating things. So the way a magnet kind of works is, for the sake of simple explanation, let's say I have one of those round top magnets that's rated for a 10-pound pull force. If I take that pop magnet and put it on something ferromagnetic like a I-beam, it'll stay there, and it will take me more than 10 pounds to overcome it and pull it off, right? If I have another 10-pound pop magnet and I put them together, you want to say that, well, that's 10 pounds pulling this way and that's 10 pounds pulling this way, so that's a 20-pound pull force. And maybe that's the weird part about magnets. A magnetic object generates its own magnetic field, and so does this one generate its own magnetic field. So when you put them together, their fields start interacting with each other and messing up the equation. So it could be a 20-pound pull force, it could be more, it could be less. Too many factors change the equation. The shape, if I have a rectangular 10-pound pull force magnet and one of those circular ones, and I put them together, it might take less effort to separate them. It might take more. If I have 2 rectangular ones, put them together, it'll be a different force to get them apart. Before we go any further, I wanted to give you a word of caution. If you try doing something like this on one of your shields, you're going to be using extremely powerful magnets. that have the potential to really hurt you if you use them incorrectly. Handle them with care. The experience I had with the magnets that I had to use were different from the ones Hugh explained. Those might work for you. They didn't work for me. I have a bit of a space limitation that I had to deal with because of the location of the T-nuts, and because you can do this with one of my shields, the ones that I make, but you cannot put it on the top of the resin. It'll break. You have to bury it in the resin. Let me show you. So the way that I found works best is you would heat up an X-Acto knife and with a lot of patience, melt the resin. When you get the outline cut, take the resin off, get all of the foam out, score the magnet slightly with some sandpaper, and fill a quantity of JB Weld in there. Put it in. When you put the leather straps back, if you got one of my shields, I sent you care instructions. Remember what I told you. Snug with the screws, snug, but not tight. Once you get them where they need to be, if you over tighten them, you're gonna rip everything out and break everything. So the first time that I attempted this, I got one of these 1 by 2 by 3/8. This one magnet has a pull force of 76.5 pounds. So this, in pull force terms, is an equivalent to the ones that Hugh Jones used. And I put it on, and it stayed nice and flush with the surface because it's buried. Maximum invisibility. The problem is 76 pounds, but it's so small, it did not work. I put the other one, I'm going to keep them far apart from each other. I put the other one on the posture brace, and when I got them close together, the shield just dropped right off. I can't explain it, but I ended up putting on the posture brace a 3 by 1.5 by 3/8. This has a 90-pound pull force. This one on the shield and this one on the posture brace, they were still not compatible. It was not, the shield was dropping right off. So what I ended up doing was doubling up. So I have 2 of those 90-pound pull force magnets sitting on top of each other on my posture brace. I probably could get one that is 3/4 of an inch, but I already had these, and this works. However, these on the posture brace and this on the shield still did not work. See what I mean? Magnets are weird. So what did work? Finally, what worked is a 1 by 2 by 3/4. This magnet has an approximate pull force of 147 pounds. Why I need to use magnets like this are beyond my ability to explain. This is the one that is on my shield right now, and I'm going to show you how it works in just a second. So apologies, I know this looks ridiculous, but I didn't bother with the pants. Anyway, I wanted to give you a tip when you do this, because when you put the harness on, the last thing you want is something in between the magnet and on the posture brace and the magnet on the shield. I mean, other than the layers of material. You don't want to have your buckle in the way. So the way that I do this, the first thing is I don't use Velcro. I use Alpha Lock. Alpha Lock is a lot stronger than Velcro. Second thing is, when you put this on by yourself, put it on upside down. So you put it on your front. Apologies if the microphone is getting all wonky, but when you put it over your head. So what I try to do is I try to get the buckle underneath the magnet and then pull it up and lock the harness down. So now, the buckle is helping to keep the magnet right at the base of my neck. Sometimes I'll get a spot check and I'll say, hey, can somebody come over here and just adjust it for me? But for the most part, that's how we do this. So the next thing is I put it right here on this strap. So when I'm ready, I always, because I learned from when I dropped my shield, I always put my hand down here and just make sure it's secure, and I give it a little tug. But yeah, it is on there. Nothing's gonna take it off until I pull it off. I can run in this. I can jump in this. I have done the cha-cha slide in this. Don't judge, it was a charity event. To get this off, what I do is I just kind of grab the bottom and I give it kind of like a push with my elbows, and it pops right off. Easy peasy. Now, the next part that is vital, especially if you're going to try to do this with one of my shields, is you're going to have to address the harness buckle. One aspect that I never liked, regardless of the magnet method used or the shield that I used, the harness buckle would always cause a little bit of damage. This is the first shield that started it all. This is my Shield Labs all-metal shield. And you can see the magnet used to be up here. So the harness buckle would rest somewhere around here. And when it was all metal, you can see the dings. And the top of the harness was really chewing into the leather. When I first started getting into this, I used the harness buckle that came with the accessories with my white sheep leather costume. Not bad, not great. You know, it's okay. But I quickly graduated to this beauty. Forgive me, I don't know who made this. I think it was Multiverse Replicas, but I'm not 100% sure. What I am 100% sure on is this is beautiful. This is light. This is strong. It's a great piece. This caused the majority of the damage to the metal shield that I showed you. And if I had used this on the shields that I make, it definitely would have turned the back of the shield into Swiss cheese. So this wasn't going to work. To get around that, I went online and I downloaded a 3D file. This was modeled by a person who goes by the name Klondike. I'll put their link to their Facebook page in the video description. I reached out to them. I told them what I was up to. I got the permission. Everything is above board. There's no shenanigans going on. So they know what I'm doing with their design. And what I did was I 3D printed it. I removed the layer lines. I molded it. I cast it in Task 16. This is what I use when I have my shield on and I go out as Cap. This is flexible. It looks the part. And the greatest thing is it will not damage your shield. One of the things that I was worried about when I cast this in Task 16 was the idea that it was just going to rip apart. But one of the great things about Task 16 is it has a very high tear resistance rating. And all the sheets that I'm aware of have under the armpits this nice elastic. So I was worried that going like any kind of flex would end up ripping it, but you have a lot of leeway. This doesn't even distort its shape. It totally sells the illusion that this is metal. Speaking of metal, one of the challenges was trying to find a way to put a realistic metal sheen on top of it. So, but in the movies, the prop master, Russell Bobbitt, is on record saying that whenever you see something that's painted in any kind of silver or chrome, they use a product called Mirachrome by a company called ALSA. And in interviews up to recently, not that long ago, he's been saying that it costs $1,000 a gallon. I don't know if he gets some kind of a union discount or one of those frequent buyer punch cards or something, but I went on the website, and if I tried to buy that exact product, it would cost me something close to $6,000 per gallon. Regardless, $1,000, $6,000, I'm not using that. What I did end up using the first time was Krylon Fusion all-in-one aluminum. This stuff bonds to task 16 like it's trying to win something. Did a great job of bonding to task 16. What it didn't do a good job is looking like metal. This looks good enough like metal, but to me, this looks more like compressed glitter. That does not look metallic to me. But I mean, you know, from a distance, it might do a good job. Another problem that I had with using any kind of spray paint was it cracks when it flexes. I think we could do a little bit better. So another thing that we went with was Rub and Buff. I use Rub and Buff on lots of stuff. Rub and Buff is great. Best thing, reason why I use it, it looks like metal. One of the next best things about it is Rub and Buff stays flexible. Another benefit of using Rub and Buff, and this is for full disclosure because full transparency is very important to me. These things were designed, they were made to get beat up. It's just, nobody did anything wrong. It's just that the design of putting a magnet on your shield, things are going to crash into each other. Things are going to rub up against each other. That introduces wear and tear. One thing that frustrates me when I get a high valuable collectible is not being able to touch it, not being able to handle it. I like to play with my toys. I handle this stuff. I wear them out. If they were made in such a way that the materials are hard to get, hard to come by, hard to apply, it kind of ruins it for me. So knowing that these are going to get worn down over time as they're being used, I wouldn't feel right putting it out there to have somebody not be able to touch it up. So Rub and Buff. Rub and Buff is easy to get, easy to use. It's in the name. The great thing about Rub and Buff is this entire buckle could be done with an amount that is about the size of a chocolate chip. You do not need a lot. A little bit goes a long way. How do you use it? You put it on, you rub, and you buff. That's it. So if you were to use these, they will not damage your shield. They will not damage one of the shields I make, which has the resin back. They won't damage a metal shield. They won't damage a plastic shield. A couple of scuffs, but no damage. If you are interested in one of these for your cosplay, please get in touch with me. If not, I hope you at least found this video entertaining and informative.